What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you are new to the channel, do me a favor, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content we have coming out. Now, with this video, we are jumping back into our indie comics weekend. Having only one indie comic for you guys this weekend, we are going to be covering the first issue of Radiant Black, a comic by KYLE Higgins, published by Image. We are jumping into a new superhero story. With artist Marcelo Costa, they are trying to reinvent superheroes for a new generation. Now, this story is going to be following an individual by the name of Nathan. Just turning 30, things are not great for him in life. His work is failing at 2 jobs, his credit card debt is piling up on him, and now he is moving back in with his parents. That is, until he finds the Cosmic Radiant. Now, if you want to check out the other indie comics that I have been covering, be sure to check out the link in the description as well as the top of this video. And with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are getting the origin story of Black Radiant. This is the story of Nathan. And currently he is looking at his phone, recognizing that he has some crippling credit card debt. $38,486 to be precise. Currently working as a writer in Los Angeles. He is doing this side gig, kind of like Uber, kind of like, DoorDash, all that car service stuff. And he's doing this because his writing career, it just has not been successful. And while he sits in the car and he waits for his next customer, he is calling a bank trying to get a loan. Getting this loan will help him pay off all of his debt. The only issue is, he does not make enough money. His debt to income ratio is just off. And because of this, they are not giving him a loan. And Nathan, he just breaks down. He breaks down crying because his life is literally crumbling under him. But this crying is quickly interrupted by his next customer. Coming to get a ride, he wipes his tears away and he does his job. And that is what's going to take us to Lockport, Illinois 1 week later. And we have Nathan, who is returning home, no longer being able to feasibly live in Los Angeles. Not having the money, having a crippling debt, he has to move back home. And of course, his mother is ecstatic about this. She is extremely excited to have her son back home. Though for Nathan, this is something that is very embarrassing. Having to move back into your parents' house at the age of 30 is very demoralizing. And I can say that because I moved back in with my parents when I was 25. Luckily, I was able to get back on my feet and move out, get my own place. But still, just having to do that, it does suck. You feel like a failure. You feel like everything that you've been building up to has just crumbled under your feet. And it takes a while for people to build back up their empire. But after having a conversation with his parents, this is where we are introduced to his childhood best friend. That being Marshall. Now, Marshall is that typical friend that no matter what state you're in, he's gonna jive you, he's gonna get at you, he's gonna make fun of you a little bit, in a best friend kind of banter way. But Marshall lets him know that this place, it's still pretty cool. Lockport's got some areas that we can go drink, have a good time at a bar, recognizing that he needs to get away, that he needs just some kind of release. And so with them going out to the bar, the two of them, they sit down, they have some beers, and they discuss everything that has been going wrong in Nathan's life. And Marshall's actually completely stunned to hear of how much debt he has. And Nathan, he doesn't want to put this on his parents either, so he's not letting them know. Because while they may try to help him, they just don't have the means to do so. And to top it all off, the novel that he has been writing, from one of his best short stories. This novel is not complete. He hasn't even got to chapter 1. And though there may have been publishers that were wanting to publish his book, that was 4 years ago. And so the odds that anybody that would be willing to publish his book, they really have to have a complete version before they even have a discussion with him. And so, as the two of them, they drink through the night, getting completely wasted, they end up stumbling outside, walking through the snow, trying to call an Uber or something of that nature. This is when off in the distance, they see a black and blue glowing light, a small orb that appears to be hovering just above the ground. And the two of them going to investigate. As they get closer, it appears to be some kind of a little black hole. And even getting face to face with it, Nathan isn't sure what this thing is, believing it's almost impossible for it to be a black hole. Maybe it's an illusion of light or something of that nature. He goes to touch it. And with him touching this light, we see it activate. Lightning going off in all directions. The orb absorbing into him, connecting to his chest. It sends out energy blasts in all directions. And this is where we get to see Nathan in his suit for the first time. And as he begins to look down at his hands, saying that he doesn't feel any different, Marshall coming and knocking on his helmet to see if he feels it. And at this point, Nathan, he doesn't know what is going on. He doesn't know how to get this suit off of him. He immediately vomits. Lucky for him, a mouthpiece opens up so it can all get out of him. But the two of them are quickly interrupted by two local police officers, with them coming and seeing what is going on, because train tracks, they are private property, so you are not allowed to walk on them. And the police officers let them know that you guys need to get out of here. You know, obviously at least one of you have been drinking, the other one of you is in a costume. We don't know what you're up to. We don't even care what you're doing. Just get off the train tracks and get your butts home. And with Marshall being a little bit drunk, this is when he gets a little mouthy, talking off to the cops, telling them that they don't need to go anywhere. Not only that, there is a train headed directly for them. Marshall not paying attention. It looks like this train is about to squash them right there on the tracks. That is until Nathan jumps into action. And we see him levitate the police car, the police officers, and the train. Now, Nathan at this point, he doesn't know how he did this. This was simply just a reaction. And the two police officers, they're telling them to put them down. Marshall saying, "We'll only put you down if you don't arrest us." The cops at this point, they don't even know what to do. They don't know how to handle the situation. They don't know how to deal with superhuman powers. So they're more than likely going to oblige. But what we see is Nathan grab Marshall and they jettison up into the sky. With the two of them flying off into the distance, we see that the policemen and the train are brought down to the ground. And picking up a little bit later, both Nathan and Marshall, they're sitting here having a conversation about what this all means. Because he can fly, he can levitate things, not even knowing the full extent of his power, not knowing what he could truly be capable of. Nathan knows that this is something big. His whole life has been nothing but failure. From his writing career to moving back in with his parents to his crippling debt. But before anything, he wants to try to figure out how to get his helmet off. We see him struggling trying to get this helmet off, unable to do so, almost winding himself trying so hard. But this is when Marshall tells him that you just reacted. He had thought about lifting the train, and when he thought about it, it lifted. So that's what he's going to try right here, thinking about removing his helmet. And as he thinks about it, we see the helmet come down. And so we know that this suit, it responds to his thoughts. But with that out of the way, he tells Marshall that how he acted today, it wasn't right. He could have got them both arrested. None of that would have happened if he had simply kept his mouth shut, respected the law, and did what was necessary, considering that he was completely wasted, that he wasn't sitting here asking for any of Marshall's help. And he really does kind of bite his head off. And they take a moment, they pause, but Nathan continues on and letting him know that this is the first time he's ever felt like he has a real purpose. Because coming home, it felt like he had a real chance when he moved out to LA. And having his failure, it feels like that chance was just wasted. And so he's finally getting another opportunity to do something. He doesn't know what he's going to do, but he feels like this has got to be something great. This has got to be something important. And the last thing he wants to do is screw this up like he has screwed everything else. And while they have this conversation, meanwhile in Chicago, there is an active bank robbery. With this bank robbery, we see a giant red explosion. And walking away from all of the smoke, all of the debris, it appears to be someone that is just like Nathan, that had found a suit, this one happening to be red. And so we can only assume that this will be the first villain that Nathan faces. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. For me, I'm actually really excited about this story. It's something that's superhero related, but off the beaten path of everything that we have gotten. It becomes monotony. You know what I mean? Like reading Superman and Batman and Captain America week after week after week. It's nice to really throw something into the mix. And with this Radiant Black, we're getting the origin story of this superhero. And so I'm very excited to see what directions this goes, what the true extent of his powers is, and where those powers actually come from. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you have not yet, do me a favor, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content we have coming out, and until the next breakdown.